Hi everyone, this is Cherry Enchantress, and I'm here with a numerology talk about the numbers 4 and 8, fate and destiny. Now, I did this whole talk, and some reason it deleted, so let's hope it doesn't do that again. And so here's a printed out cover of Linda Goodman's star sign, because in my book it's very old and worn and and I already flipped to the next thing I was going to do. So now I got to go find 4 and 8 again, which is right here. 4 and 8, numbers of fate and destiny. All right. So these are known especially when combined as the numbers of fate and the number of karma. And hard luck seems to pursue those lives dominated by the 4 and 8. When the 4 or the 8 is the single number of the day of birth, such as 4, 8, 13, 17, 26, 22, 31st, the number has been chosen by the person it represents, or in a wiser state of grace between incarnations. The higher self, soul, or spirit, realizing that there are heavy karmic debts to be balanced, which have been delayed or procrastinated for too many lifetimes, chooses the magnetic birth channel of the 4 or the 8 to ensure that these long overdue karmic obligations are faced and finally neutralized. On the level of awareness between incarnations, the full import of the karmic chain is comprehended. It's somewhat analogous that the decision of a student who has continually postponed studying for exams for a test as the deadline draws near recognizes it's time to get serious and make up for the procrastination. No more fun weekends, no more stalling or goofing off. It's cram time. Time for extra hard study and attention to scholastic obligations. Naturally, one can't avoid the 4 or 8 vibration as a birth number, nor should one be able to, since the 4 or 8 guarantees that the person influenced by it will be placed involuntarily in a specific situations where particular karma will be balanced in the present existence. Therefore, you might think it unwise to try to remove any further 4 or 8 influence from your life because its perfect purpose for being there is so spiritually sound. But this is not necessarily true. The single number of the name being a 4 or an 8 is entirely different matter, since one doesn't choose one's own name except in certain religions. The parents choose the name, guided subconsciously by the powerful influence of the 4 or 8 birth number, or else blindly choose a name with this vibration for no good reason, and the person bears it for better or worse. Therefore, to change the spelling of the name so that it equals a more fortunate single number is not unduly interfering with karma. It's a free will choice and a sensible way, if this is to be the desire of making an individual's path in the present existent considerably smoother and less fatalistic. When 4 or 8 is the birth number, care should be taken to avoid the numbers 4 and 8 in all other ways, such as address, phone numbers, which add to the compound number that can be reduced to a single 4 or 8, and to avoid taking important action or planning significant events on dates equaling either of these two numbers, such as the 4th, 8th, 13th, 17th, 22nd, 26th, or 31st. Most people can handle the 4 or 8 vibration alone. It's the combination of them, the doubling up and increasing the power of the 4 and 8 that becomes powerfully fatalistic and causes these unfortunate people to attract far more than their share of bad luck, losses, heartbreak, and disappointments. Let's consider the two numbers separately, since there's a degree or two difference between them. We'll begin with the 8. People whose birth number 8 is 8 seem to be influenced by a more pronounced fatalistic vibration. They are more children of fate than the 4 people. They can be just as strong of character as noble, devoted, hardworking, and self-sacrificing as others, and frequently even more so, but it may feel that they don't receive the rewards they're entitled to or the recognition they deserve. The road to success is a hard one, strewn with obstacles. Although they often manage to rise to a position of high authority, it burdens them with stressful responsibilities, great anxiety, and long hours. 8 people, not infrequently manage to accumulate wealth. In fact, the accumulation of wealth at some time in the life is a definite part of the 8 influence, depending on the position of Jupiter in the birth chart. But the wealth may not bring any real or lasting happiness. In addition, 8 people are often required to pay too high a price for love, which almost invariably brings with it suffering of some kind. Here's an example. A man born on the 8th, 17th, or 26th day of the month marries a woman born on the 4th, 13th, 22nd, or 31st day of the month, or whose name equals the single number 4. By thus combining the 4 and the 8, the power of these numbers is increased, and then the 8 man will experience many blows of fate, mental tension, and emotional sadness in the married state. Under the law of magnetic attraction, 4 and 8 people seem to be irresistibly drawn together in all kinds of relationships: love, marriage, friendships, and business associations. Relatives and relatives by marriage. The combination cannot be called fortunate, at least not in a worldly sense, although it's common for 4 and 8 people to demonstrate a deep devotion to one another, or one does to an almost fantastical degree, even when the other doesn't, for better or for worse, especially during times of illness or other misfortune. Some of the greatest examples of self-sacrifice in history are found when 8 and 4 people marry. The most pronounced aspect about this combination of marriage is sacrifice of some kind. Yet great good can come from such suffering. Couples can create unusually gifted children, or produce the legacy of classical music, poetry, memorable writing of books, plays, and so forth. 8 people who observe the numbers 4 and 8 continually influencing the life regarding dates of important events, telephone numbers, addresses, etc., associated with sorrow, disappointments, and bad luck, should avoid these numbers whenever possible by changing the spelling of the name, if it equals the single number 4 or 8, to address, telephone number, and the like, which add to the compound number that reduces to a 4 or 8. They should avoid keeping important engagements or planning significant events on the 4 or 8, 13th, 17th, 22nd, 26th, or 31st day of the month, and alter these to produce the single number 6, including the name number if necessary. The 8 person should try to carry out all important plans on the 6th or the 24th day of the month, but not the 6 reached through the compound number 15. Read the reason for this in the analysis of 15 under the compound number of definition. So we'll do 15 later. 8 people follow this advice who alter 4s and 8s in their lives to the single number 6 will substantially reduce their bad luck and to be able to control the curious fate that seems to follow them. They may not, however, be able to avoid all relationships with other 4 or 8 people because most of these are karmic obligations which must be dealt with and balanced. Most of the 8 person's close friends, business associates, and relatives will usually be 4 or an 8 by birth and have names which equal one or of these 2 numbers. The 4-8 vibration is increased if the 8 person is the sun sign Capricorn or Aquarius, since 8 is the number of Saturn, ruler of Capricorn, and 4 is the number of Uranus, ruler of Aquarius. The most important thing to remember is this. Some 8 people may prefer to carry out the full force and meaning of the 8 influence, not fearing the consequences because they feel that forewarned they can handle the negative aspect of 8, and they wish to increase the power of wealth, stability, responsibility, and so forth that the influence brings. Should an 8 person make such a decision, then they should try to do everything important on the 8th, 17th, and 26th days of the month. And if the birth number is 8, they should change the spelling of the name to likewise equal the single 8, but not in such a way that it equals the compound number 26. In doing this, they will greatly increase their chances of material success, but they will lead curiously fatalistic lives, seeming to be stamped by fate on whatever path of life they choose. However, those 8 people who choose to increase the power of 8 in their lives rather than avoid it must take care to avoid the number 4 whenever possible, because it's the combination of these 2 numbers that brings a strong magnetic negative influence to bear upon them. This is why 4 people should not under any circumstances increase the power of the number 4, since double 4 equals 8. So they should avoid, once again, the combination of these two numbers, and because extra 4 here and there, along with their birth number 4, born on the 4th, 13th, 22nd, 31st, will bring by addition the 8th lands to bear, creating the very combination that the ancients have warned to avoid. According to the Chaldeans, the number 4 is, as a birth influence, is not quite so heavy an influence as the number 8. People with a 4 as a birth number will find that 4th, 13th, 22nd, and 31st days of the month are a major significance in both their business and personal affairs, sometimes in a negative sense, yet equally as often in a positive sense. Their own addresses and phone numbers and the like, and the dates of birth of people close to them, especially relatives, since the 4-8 combination greatly influences group family karma, will be 4s or 8s far more often than can be attributed to coincidence. If your birth number is 4, check into it and you'll be surprised. Like your address or your phone number, that equals down to a 4, either with or without the area code, and sometimes both ways. A rare few have chosen the number 4 as birth channel are illuminated souls who have erased all past karma by balancing it in previous lives and have incarnated in the present existence to rescue a twin self who has become or in danger of becoming a fallen angel. In such cases, the 4 vibration is chosen to aid in keeping this person on the path of light, to lessen the temptation to form new negative karma, thereby also becoming a fallen angel in the attempt to rescue the fallen other half of the self. In this instance, the 4 is an extremely protective influence, and in all other cases, which form the majority of the 4 people, the 4 is not so much to be dreaded as to be recognized as a helpful means to discipline oneself in the present incarnation, which is not a negative situation, but quite positive in a spiritual sense. So there you go. Well, so you may or may not buy into that. I just think it's kind of interesting. I had a very strange spelling. I mean, my birth spelling, my first name comes down to a 4. My last name comes down to a 4. And so I'm an 8. But, so initially when I first read this book in this chapter, I avoided all this combination stuff. And then through time, I wasn't so serious about it, looking out for it. And in the meantime, too, I found out that 4 was actually supposedly lucky for me. So I don't know. But I do know one thing, that I did change my name and I added a middle initial. So for 20 years now, I've written my name like that with an extra middle initial whenever I sign it, to give it that one extra point that makes a difference. I don't know if that's helped me or not, but I just thought, well, it's a small change, and it makes my first and last name look, balance each other, kind of like on a little seesaw. And my middle initial is A, so it's like they're on either side of the point of a seesaw. Anyway, so little tricks that we like to try, but it's in the end, it really is your perception and what you believe in, and your mind is way more powerful than believing that 4 and 8 might be bad luck. But if you want to give it a try and try it, and try to avoid this combination or embrace the combination, whatever the case may be. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that talk on the numbers of fate and destiny, 4 and 8, and hope you have a good night. Faith, trust, and pixie dust.